Hello. All right. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully you're doing well. I want to say hi to people. Let me know if you can hear. There's a few people on. It's a beautiful day out. Matt, hello. Ron Shack, hey, happy Sunday to you. Frank, good to see you. Are you back in the States, Frank? David Smith. All right. A few people on here. Sounds okay. Hey, TBA. Stevie Ray. Using a different microphone setup today. I still need to get a different musical interface, but so I can use better mics, but hopefully this will record a little bit better. Geert is here. Stevie Ray's here. Okay, so we've got a few people here. It's a beautiful day outside. I don't mind people, if at least it is here in upstate New York. And I certainly understand if people are not here today. So we'll go through a brief lesson on what I say, key changes, right? It's really key changes, chord changes. You know, just before we get going, I wanted to say I've met a couple of people through YouTube. One of the guys is a guy from 15-Minute Guitar in New Zealand. And hey, Robbie, good to see you. And he and I had a long chat last night. We're going to kind of edit and post some of that stuff. Him talking about his groups and things like that, and what it's like playing down under, not in Australia, but in New Zealand. He's actually from London, so it's kind of interesting. But one of the things we talked about was sort of this idea that, you know, it certainly happened to me. It didn't happen instantly, and it's still happening. I still find it interesting to play over. And that is, you know, the moving from being a rock player who just kind of wails on a single scale, says, hey, what's the key? And then we'll just play in that key. And doesn't think too much about the notes as long as I stay in a pattern, to somebody who's thinks about sort of the melody and the harmony a lot more. I take a sip of this. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. It is about changing keys, but it's, and we can talk a little bit about that and answer some questions, but really I just wanted to show you how, if you're thinking about, you know, playing to what everybody else is playing and the differences in some of those notes, we can do that. Sounds intermittent, David Smith says. What sounds intermittent? My voice? Are other people hearing that? I'm hoping it's not the microphones. It seems like the volume seems reasonable, as it does with the guitar, so I haven't seen anything. Okay, but do let me know if it's coming in or out. I have had lots of internet problems this week, and I got somebody else I got Spectrum coming in this afternoon, or on Tuesday, because it's been awful this week. All right, well, anyway, let me demo a little bit. I'm going to play over a chord sequence and see if you can listen for the changes. They're subtle in terms of the key change, but there is a key change, and we'll play that. So I'll let you listen to the progression first. Here it is, a very simple progression. Okay, now we'll play over it. It's kind of jazzy, right? let me stop after this. All right. So hopefully you can kind of hit off on this. Hopefully you could kind of hear that key change there. It's actually really straightforward, but there is a key change because it changes the flavor of one of the chords there. And there's not much to it, but you can hear it makes a bit of a difference. Instead of just kind of wailing on a, hey, Dave, Monty, good to see you. Instead of just kind of wailing on a scale, it's thinking, and I did that a couple of times, but you could probably hear me changing the scale a little bit on that. And let me just take you through it. So basically, it's just playing this line, open, okay, and we're playing it through an A major first. Okay, Ozman, it may be the network. Hopefully it's yours and not mine. No offense, man. But so it's kind of like an A major when you're playing the suspended second, then the A major, then the fourth there, suspended fourth, and then back. Okay, and then you're just going to play basically, or we just play then the A major. So that's basically you can think of that as an E major, although I play with an A bass. All right, and then an A7. And then a D major 7 at the end. All right. All right, so the point is, I think that A7 demands that you play something else, demands a different note. And it demands a flatted seventh instead of the normal seventh of an A major. And so if we can gloss over this if we want to, just by playing like an A major pentatonic, and it all seems fine. Like, let me just play the A major pentatonic over this, but you'll hear it doesn't really get that A7 note in, that A7 note in there. Let me just play an A major pentatonic over that. So you hear it sounds okay, but it doesn't really capture that key note, which is really this, right? Because it's not in the A major pentatonic. So if we kind of try to capture that, you can hear the difference. Well, you could play A mixolydian, but A mixolydian is going to have a wrong note over this sequence. It's going to play the flatted seventh. An A mixolydian scale is like this. Right? It has this flatted seventh and not the natural seventh of A major. So over the first part, that's going to sound wrong. Let me show you, if you just play A mixolydian, it's not going to work. So if you play just A mixolydian over this, you hear how that note is really bad? So you just have to be mindful of that. And a lot of people kind of gloss over it by playing pentatonics. And that's good in one sense because it hides a mistake that you could make. But it's bad in another sense because it's ignoring this note, which is a key note once the chord changes. So let me just play this note just to show you. So we'll just play it when it's bad. Here it's bad. But it's going to sound good now. Right? So it's interesting that way. And it kind of takes away an interesting line that you can kind of come up with, which is basically this. So let's play that over there. So that's an interesting thing, right? We're playing E. I'm sorry, we're starting out with A, and then an E or an E7 really is E dominant, or an E, and then a A7, and then an A, and then an D major 7. So, and it sounds kind of good. So let's listen to that for a second. Now here it is. Yeah. So just being mindful of maybe often one or two chords can help you through those key changes. And one of the ways to think about it is to literally think about the chords that you're playing. I have a couple of lessons coming out. One is on just thinking about playing over chords instead of scales. So it is true. I think it was maybe David or somebody said A mixolydian, or playing mixolydian, and you can think that when you're playing over that A7 chord, and maybe even over that D, right? Because that's D major. A mixolydian is the same as D major, the same notes. But I think it makes more sense, at least for me, is to think about playing when I hear an A7. What are the things where I play? If I play this A7, or this A7? What are the notes that? What are the notes that work? And I'm not really even thinking about scales. I'm just thinking about what I play over that. Well, that was shitty, but anyway, I think sometimes that helps, and it can get you along, like in a really tough thing where the key center's changing all over the place. Like say my, all of me, something that starts out like a C, right? Goes to an E7 and an A7, going to a D minor 7th, right? So that you can think of is really just playing out of those chords. Right? And that kind of all works out without really even thinking about the scales. If you think about the chord shapes everywhere, like C and E, or E7, A7, and D minor, if you're used to playing over those shapes, you just really have to know where the chords are, right? So it's kind of fun. Anyway, I find it much more gratifying to play over stuff like that. Key changes don't really even matter that much if you think about the chord. And so when you hit a key change, sometimes it's important to think about that chord, or sometimes that's a good way to do it. If it's coming fast and furious, sometimes you have to think about a group of chords. But if it's coming here like very slow, you just really have to think about that A7 and what's unique to that A7 that's different than, say, an A major. And it's really that flatted 7th. And so if you can emphasize that, it really works. So one last time, just to show you that sometimes you can play a sequence that really emphasizes it and punches it home. I'm going to overemphasize this and then we'll move on. Right? So you can hear how that changes, right? I'm really emphasizing this note over the E. So, and then I'm emphasizing this over the D. Over that A7. All right, anyway, and that works in when you're playing Frampton, or when you're playing Django, or when you're playing anything. So I would say the moral is not to learn the arpeggios. I mean, it's fine to learn arpeggios. It's fine to learn them, But what I would say is learn your chords all over the neck, because then if you just have, if you're used to playing the shape of a chord, right, then you've got stuff that you can play. And if you know this A chord, this A7, I'm not really playing arpeggios here. I mean, I could play an arpeggio there, but I think it's really getting comfortable with, like, what do I play over this? You know, what are the notes that really feel comfortable over that A chord that jazz me, that are me coming out in this? And if it sounds good to you over that chord, then that's a good thing to play. It really is. And some people might think an arpeggio sounds good. Another person might think a chromatic line, like, sounds good, something like that. But I think, just get used to playing over those chords and come up with your own stuff, and then it's more real to you. All right, can't see the neck. Can't see the neck. Can you see it now? All right, guitar is out of frame. Yeah. All right, well, it comes out of frame when I do this. Yeah. All right. So anyway, so that's that. I thought we could do the quiz. So I'm happy to take any questions on that kind of stuff. I do have a lesson coming up on basically learning chord shapes and learning what to play out of those chord shapes. Yeah, that's kind of it. Thank you, Geert. Appreciate that. It's fun, it's fun to play out of chord shapes too. It's more interesting to me. It's more interesting than scales, because you learn a new chord shape and then you just say, well, what can I play? What notes can I play around that? I think honestly that's kind of what Hendrix did with his ideas, right? When he's playing those Hendrix chords, he's really just playing a chord and then figuring out what he can play around that chord and hammering on and being cool with it, and people can come back and go, hey, that's a minor pentatonic or major pentatonics that he's playing out there. But yeah, and it does get challenging with chord extensions. If I'm going to play it, it's never ending, right? And Wes Montgomery said this. That's kind of the way that he thought, or one of the ways he thought about playing, supposedly, was he said, just take a chord and break it out. You learn a new chord, you got to figure out what you can play around it. You can see I'm not too comfortable with that ninth chord, right? I should be, but I'm not. So that probably means I need to spend a little time. All right. Yeah. And that way, kind of, I think a lot of stuff kind of comes together, right? So when jazz players play chord substitutions, that can work when you solo if you know what you're playing over chords. So anyway, I think it's a lot of fun. And yeah, David Smith says cage system. So same sort of idea there, right? So cage system, you can take, for example, we can do it, let's do it in D. So you can take all the D chords, right? You've got this. And you can learn a major scale around those. Right? Right? That's a good one because it's got all those extra. And that's fine. That's good. But that's playing scales, right? And nobody wants to listen to scales. So it's probably better to say, okay, here's a D major. What are the notes that I like over that? Do I like? Right? So. But the major scale is a good place to start, right? So anyway, yeah, cage system, that's it. So if you can if you can visualize those chords, you can play around them, and it's going to sound pretty good. Yeah, and I mean, of course, learning arpeggios is good, but the danger in learning scales or arpeggios is that's what you play, right? Because that's what your fingers get. So if you start to learn to play other things, then it sounds sort of like you in music instead of arpeggios. All right. So let's see, cage system. No, the different inversions of the chords. One of them has fixed positions, so I need ways to think about how to move between the different inversions of the chords. Yeah. So that's, I think, you take a particular chord, and I would suggest starting out with 3-note chords. You've heard me say this before, but like if we take D, here's a 3-note chord, right? Or this, that's one, and then just keep moving up the neck with 3-note chords on adjacent strings. So here's another one, here's another one. Technically, here's another one, right? I played with my third, and I'm going to play with the first, and that gives me a down and an up. And here's another one, right? Here's another one. And if you can visualize those quickly, then it's going to help. If you do sevenths, here's a D7, here's a D7, here's a D7, right? Here's a D7, or this, either one. Okay, here's a D7, and then here's another D7. And that gets you all the way up the neck, and you can visualize what you want to play around those. Anyway, it does take some time. So somebody asked about, yeah, that's good. I mean, I'm self-taught largely too. I mean, I had a little Mel Bay training when I was young, but believe me, that was me trying to hate the guitar more than anything. And I really try and just spend a lot of time trying to put stuff together that I already know in a lot of cases. So one last person asked about, one person asked about diminished. Same sort of thing, right? So if you take a diminished form, and I think most people know the diminished trick of moving up 3 frets, right? A minor third. And those are all the same. Those are all the same scales. So again, I don't think about scales. I think about what I can play over this chord form. Oops. And anyway, that tends to help me. I'm not as good with diminished as I am with other stuff, but yeah. And with only 3 notes, you can think of diminished as a 7th chord. One thing that I loved a lot was Mel Bay, Shenandoah. Yeah. One thing I learned a lot from, or I really took a lot of heart from, was Joe Pass, who I read an interview, and he's basically said there's only 3 chords. There's majors, minors, and 7ths, and everything else can be played from that. So he said, I don't even think about other things, which is pretty amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Somebody's saying Robin Ford. Yeah, what is it, Ron, that you learn to take a chord and then go to the 4th and play a major scale? Okay, yeah. You mean for diminished, maybe, huh? I mean, that note, that right there. So that's another thing. I play a diminished scale from a 7th. So I play my 7th like this. Let's take the A. Let's take this in A, right? So I've got A. That's my A 7th. But now I just play on 3 strings. So I've got this, right? Just that middle part. And now I know how to play a diminished line out of that. And that works, right? So anytime I can play that, I know where that 7th is, that form of it, I can play a diminished scale. Likewise, and I can move it up a minor third and play the same thing, right? So it's still thinking out of chords. And so if I can play that chord, I can visualize that chord, then I can play a diminished scale out of it. Same thing with this. So here's another A7. I know that this works. So I can play a diminished line out of that. Or the same with this seventh, which is kind of derived from this C7 position, like this. I can play that out of this chord form. So if I can visualize this A7th right here. Remember, it's just the C7 right here, but I'm just playing it up here. I can play diminished from it. And it all works. So anyway, there you go. All right. Yeah, I love Joe Pass's thinking. I agree. So if playing G7, just play a C major scale. That's a mixolydian, right? So you play C major over G7, that's a mixolydian scale, right? All right. What do you do if you have several chords changing quickly? So if you have several chords changing quickly, if you're improvising over it, that's going to be tough. It's good if you understand sort of like, is it a common, are there chords all within the same key center? Like if it's a 2-5-1, right? So if you've got a A minor to a D7 to a G, say a G6 or G major, you know that all those are the key in the key of G major. So you can play, you know, a line that's basically in G major. But you know, something like that. Yeah, and when it's coming really fast, it's really hard to play, you know, over the scales. You know, something like that would be a canned line from playing over the chords. Let's see. Whatever. Play Misty. Yeah, no thanks. Anyway, but you can think about stuff like, you know, if you're playing, I learned a trick actually in the blues that works really well and it's kind of cool. And that is to just play over the Stormy Monday changes. And so when you're playing over this, which is the, I played it in G major, right? So the Stormy major changes over the change to the back to the 1 chord. Stormy Monday changes are basically this. I know there's some stuff at the end that's a little weird, but basically, now I'm talking about the Allman Brothers, not T-Bone Walker, who did a different set of changes. Allman Brothers used somebody else's changes a little bit different. But it would be, you know, G. G, and now we're back at the C, C7, right? Or C9. Here we go. Well, over this, you can play. And it sounds good. It sounds like Mr. Sandman right there, doesn't it? You know, but by playing something like that or something that's in those keys, right here, I'm just playing pentatonics. Yeah, that's right. Baby's Request does that in the beginning. That's right. McCartney's Baby's Request. Very interesting. Yeah, and look, there's nothing wrong with pentatonics. Pentatonics are great. Pentatonics fit chords well, and you can figure out which pentatonics work. So if that's your bag and you like playing pentatonics, you can figure out which pentatonics work over, say, a C7 chord, and it's going to lead you to the pentatonic scale for, say, an F major, right? Back on kind of what Ron was saying, what Ron Shack was saying. So if you're playing, say you're playing G7 and you want to play pentatonics, you know, it might lead you to playing C major pentatonics, you know, right? Anyway, or it might, like, because the will work. But again, that's kind of what you want to do on that. Anyway, think about the chords you're playing when you play over. Think about what makes them unique, and that's going to help you play what your line is. One last thing about the playing chords that are really fast. If you're playing over changes that are really fast, I listened to John Harrington, who's I don't think there's a better player. Well, there probably is. I don't know. He's an amazing player. He's the guy that plays with Steely Dan now most of the time, and just a phenomenal player. Larry Carlton loves him, and thinks he's great. So that tells you something. And I forget which thing he was talking about, but he was talking about one of the songs was a bunch of quick changes that are going over a song. And he said it's really, really super hard to improvise over them. So he works out a canned line over those very quick changes. That's what he does, which is interesting. And if he can't do that, if it's just thrown at him, he just basically plays notes of a chord over those changes, and they sound good. You know, it's interesting. So arpeggios really are notes of chords. So, you know, you can think of that. How do I learn songs by ear? Wow, Cloud Skytruck, that is a great question. That's a great question. Maybe we'll take that up some other time. But basically, the answer is I need to know the songs really, really well, and I need to listen to the songs many times. That's why it's really hard for me to learn a song I don't really like, because it's hard to listen to it for me over and over. But especially with solos, if I can sing it, if I can sing the solo, then I'll get it, and because then I can sort of figure out the notes, and eventually I'll figure out sort of what makes sense to me underneath those notes. What are the things that help it in my memory, so the fretboard works. And notice that I don't claim to, most of the time, I don't claim to try and figure out exactly how the artist played it, because he has different hands than I do, or she has different hands. He might have played it in a different register. I don't really concern myself to that unless it's really integral to the song. Like, you know, you wouldn't want to play Stevie Ray Vaughan's beginning of of Pride and Joy, which is that. You wouldn't want to play that, you know, somewhere up here. It just doesn't work, you know, or it's not really the same. So there you've got to try and figure it out. But other than that, I try and make sense of it myself. Once I get it in my head, I try and listen really hard. And you know, there are shortcuts. If you know some theory, you know, you can figure out the chords and figure out what scale is going to work over the chords and think about notes. But that's basically it. Learning by it just takes me time and repetition. Me noodling for weeks. Yeah. Well, sometimes that's the way to do it. You know, some people claim they listen to the chords, or they listen for the chord structure, and then they can do it. But I find that the more I listen, I can repeat a line. That is another thing, is to just do it, right? Now that sounds crazy, but if you hear something, try and repeat it. Let's try this. Ooh. That's it. Right? So if I want to play Popeye the Sailor, which that was my horrible attempt at just learning it, right? Now I got it. And I want to, and I could keep going on that, right? So the more you do it, the better you get at it. And you can see I need to practice myself. Sailor's hornpipe, right? Popeye the Sailor is what we say sometimes, but sailor's hornpipe, right? All right. So anyway, learning intervals. Well, again, you know what? Learning intervals. Are you really doing that, or are you just kind of learning to academic? You could say that, right? So you say, well, let me listen for a third. That I know people who are really good at that. That's for sure. You could practice that, but for me, I find practicing with a song works better, right? Than to say, oh, you know, here's a sixth, or here's a second, or here's a minor second, or whatever. But that can work. That can work. I've seen it work for some people. So anyway, good. So I think today is so beautiful. I'm going to go fishing, but let's do the quiz. Hey, I put up on the thanks, Cloud. I appreciate that, Cloud Skylark. Thank you. I put up on the weekly poll. I put up, what's your favorite live album? Major interruptions and feed checks. Okay. Well, hopefully it keeps going. I don't see interruptions on my internet side yet, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But anyway, let me take this off and give myself a little bit of breathing here. So I put up on the poll this week, what's your favorite live album? Band of Gypsies. Okay, yeah. So I think I put up the choices were Allman Brothers, Stones, Get Your Ya-Ya's. Allman Brothers at Fillmore East, Stones, Get Your Ya-Ya's Out, Who Live at Leeds, and Frampton Comes Alive. And right before I got on, Frampton Comes Alive was leading, but by far the leading one was what's your own favorite? Another one, right? Somebody said something other than that. So so I think you know, for me, those aren't my favorites either. I do love the Allman Brothers live at the Fillmore East, and I have a soft spot for Frampton Comes Alive. But my favorite is Elton John's 11-17-70. I love that live album. It's done in a live in a studio, and it's just from an era when people played and they went for it. And I think the same with Band of Gypsies is kind of like that. Yeah. So what are some of yours? So I see David Smith says Robin Trower live. I don't know that one. So David, what makes that one so good for you? Let's see some of the other people. David Smith also says Made in Japan. I think that's Deep Purple. Yeah, that's a great one. Kiss Alive. Kiss Alive. Yeah. I've never been a Kiss fan, so I can't tell you. Can't tell you. Yeah, not really a fan of live albums. I'm not either, generally speaking, because they're maybe fun to be there, but not as fun to listen to. But there are exceptions, right? I think Frampton Comes Alive is a good exception. Fillmore East, good exception. And there's an energy to those. Dave Mason, Certified Live. I don't know that one. I need to listen to it, though. Deep Purple, live. I think that's Made in Japan, Ron, is that one, right? Live in Japan, but I think they call it Made in Japan. It's good. Woodstock. Interesting. Yeah, Band of Gypsies is really good. I mean, Machine Gun. Oh, my God. Changes is really good, too. Love all that stuff. Brussels Affair, Stones. Neil Young's Live Rust is awesome, isn't it? Santana at Woodstock, Soul Sacrifice. I agree. That's one of the best performances in that Woodstock. Maybe the best. Maybe that's the song remains the same. Yeah. So that's a classic one, right? That's a classic one. Ron Shack says song remains the same. How many of us went to that on the Late Show, right? When we got the theaters would close, except they would have something like at 12:30 or at midnight, and they play that, and you go and, you know, maybe you do something before the show. I won't say what. Get us all in trouble. But then you watch that, and then they're playing. Oh, I just remember No Quarters. Seemed the beginning of that seemed like it went on forever. Pretty awesome. Grateful Dead. Live Dead Europe 72. I've heard a lot of people say that. I'm not really a huge super fan of all that stuff, but No doubt that they were some of the best. Frank was at the original Woodstock. Now, I'll be damned. That's incredible. So, Frank, who did you like the most at Woodstock? Who were some of the acts that you really loved at Woodstock? That's awesome. Joe Cocker was really good too. Nobody is saying, so I want to hear what Frank says. Mountain. That's right. The Mountain didn't make the cut of the movie, did they? Yeah. Fenderman 73 can't remember. That's funny. Jimmy, yeah, okay. Jimmy, wow. I was at Woodstock, but many, 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 many years later. Not to see anything. Can't heat. The Schmage Brothers. I don't know that. Janis Joplin rocked. Mm-hmm. Leslie West is still around. He's still living. He still plays. Their manager thought it wasn't good for him. Is that right? Yeah. Band of Ogres at the Atlanta Pop Festival. Shredded horse dick in a tin can. Now that is a name. Okay. David Weaselthorn and his Band of Ogres. So, Shredded, do you like the Fugs too? Are you into the Fugs? Saran wrap? Okay. Leslie West is in Englewood, New Jersey. Lost a leg to diabetes. See, Fenderman is like the guy who knows everything on this stuff. Big brother. Yeah. All right. Yeah, being at Live Aid was another one though. But Monterey Pop, it's been so long. Cal Jams, some of the Cal Jams were pretty awesome too. Oh, there's somebody who says Live and Dangerous, Thin Lizzy. So yeah, David Smith, I think you're spot on. I was waiting for Geert to say Live and Dangerous by Thin Lizzy, but he didn't say it. I love the Bob Marley Live in '75 as well. It has an energy to it that's different. I really like it a lot. All right. Hey, anyway, I think we're going to get on with the quiz, and then we'll get out of here. Max Josephson says Thin Lizzy was great. And Geert prefers Thin Lizzy recorded. I knew that. All right. Okay. Anyway, let's do this. So I want to thank TBA for most of these questions. These are and AC/DC, yeah. These are fill in the blanks, okay? So I'm going to give you a line from a song, and you have to give me the next line or the next thing that's in there. Another easy one. They're all going to be easy. And it's the summertime, and when the quizzes are easy. All right. Let's go. The summertime when the quizzes are easy. All right, here's the first one. But February made me shiver. What's the next line? But February made me shiver. Ooh. Can't be stumping people with that one. With every paper I delivered. Yeah, okay, so this is a typing test. Fenderman, Ron Shack, Robbie Love says the day the music died. And you're right, Robbie. Cloud Skycheck gets it. With every paper I delivered. Awesome. Okay. Oh, this is a toughie. Smoke on the water and blank. Oh, yeah, where's GMAC? He's not here today. Smoke on the water and blank. Fire in the sky. Boy, that was a toughie. Robbie, Geert, 3-Card Monty, Fenderman, Clouds, Ron. Everybody getting that one. Okay. Okay. Okay, here's a good one. Apricots in my eye. Okay. How I wish you were here. We're just blank. How I wish you were here. We're just blank. This is a typing test. Yes, it's Pink Floyd. We're just two souls, but what? Two souls swimming in a fishbowl. There you go. Love it. Got it. Ron got the beginning part. Drunk on a lot of cheap beer. Oh, shredded. That's not quite right. Robbie Love. Two souls living in a fishbowl. Fenderman 73. Cloud Sky Chuck. Ron gets the back end of it as well. Okay. Oh, really? Boy. She's an easy lover. She'll take blank. This is an 80s hit. She'll take no cover. She'll take MasterCard. I love it. Robbie, that's a good one. She'll take my mother. Okay, that's a good one. I like that. Take a hold of you. Believe it. Yeah, that's pretty bright. She'll take your heart, but you won't feel it. Close enough for it. She'll take a hold of you. Believe it. That's pretty dang good. And Ron gets it as well. All right. That's right. I have a lesson on that. It's a great solo in this one. I totally forgot about it. Thank you, TBA. It's a great solo. I can't remember the guy who played it. I think he's from Australia. Good player. All right. Here we go. Begin the day with a friendly voice. A blank. It is a very difficult solo. Daryl Fenderman, how would I know that you knew it? Fenderman knows everything about rock trivia, like everything. Begin the day with a friend. It's damn close. I don't know if it's Watson. He might be using Watson. Begin the day with a friendly voice. A blank. Okay, so this is Rush. This is a Rush song. Begin the day with a friendly voice. A blank. Off of Permanent Waves. A companion. Hey, I'm anonymous. Yes, close. A companion what? Okay. Would it help if I kind of grab myself? A life well lived without a choice. Ooh, I like that, shredded. Unobtrusive. There you go. Begin the day with a friendly voice, a companion unobtrusive. I can't sing like Getty. All right, you got to sing with like a Monty Python accent there. Okay, here we go. That's right, Spirit of the Radio. Okay, here's one I think you'll get. Ooh, my little pretty one, my pretty one. Blank. What's the next line? When you. Ooh, my little pretty one, my pretty one. When you blank. When you gonna give me some time, Sharona? That's right. I'm anonymous. Gets it. Robbie Love gets it. That's right. Okay. When are you gonna get naked? I think that's kind of what he's talking about. I think that's the blunt version. A lot of that on that album. When you're a teenager, you thought, ooh, that was something. All right. As she rises to her apology, anyone else would surely know blank. As she rises to her apology, anybody else would surely know. What? What's next? Fenderman 73. He's watching her go. What a fool believes. Okay. All right, Frank. Glad to have you on, as always. Appreciate you being on. All right. See you, brother. Okay. Let's see. All right. Okay, here's a toughie for people. Michael McDonald. That's right. What a fool What a fool believes. What a fool believes. Yep. Studio Deluxe. Okay, here we go. So we sailed up to the sun till we found the sea of green, and we lived beneath the waves blank. Not a toughie. In a yellow submarine. I'm anonymous. Garrett, Robbie Love, David Smith, Ron Shack. A lot of people getting that one. Fenderman. Okay. Okay. Here's the next one. Here we come, walking down the street. We get the funniest looks from blank. Here we come, walking down the street. We get the funniest looks from blank. Everyone we meet, Robbie Love, Fenderman, Crow Black says, hey, hey, we're the monkeys. I think I'm anonymous knew that as well. A lot of people getting this one. Garrett, Cloud, Ron, 3-Card Monkey, Max Josephson. Awesome. David Smith. And okay, here we go. Here's the next one. A lot of 60s ones here. And she'll have fun, 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 blank. And she'll have fun, 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 blank. Geert says, till her daddy takes the T-Bird away. I'm anonymous. Robbie Love. 3-Card Monty, not quite. Crow Black. Studio Deluxe. Fenderman. Ron. That's right. Okay, good. Good. All right. Let's see. Listen to the wind blow. Watch the sun rise. Running in shadows. Damn you love. Blank. Ooh. Damn your lies. I'm anonymous. Crow Black, Cloud, Robbie Love, Fenderman 73, Studio Deluxe. Crow Black. All right. A lot of people getting that one. Fenderman. Close enough. All right. So you think you're a Romeo playing a part in a picture show. What's the next line? So you think you're a Romeo playing a part in a picture show. I'm anonymous says, take the long way home. I know Anonymous is on fire today. Studio Deluxe, Crow Black, Fenderman 73. Love that song. I love that song. Take the long way home. Cloud. All right. A lot of people getting that one. Supertramp. Yep. All right. All right. Okay. She's a witch of trouble in electric blue. In her own mad mind, blank. "12-string goodie," says Robbie Love. You mean that song, huh? Okay, so let's see. She's a witch of trouble in electric blue in her own mad mind. Yes. Fenderman 73, she's in love with you. With you. Right. So that's Strange Brew, right? She's a witch of trouble in electric blue. In her own mad mind, she's in love with you. With you. All right. Here we go. Yeah, that was a toughie. That was a toughie, but good. All right, so here we go. Next one. She packed my bags last night pre-flight. Blank. What's the next line? Yes, it's Rocket Man, but what's the song? Not Little Rocket Man. It's Rocket Man. Crow Black, 0 hour, 9 a.m. All right. What's the next line in that? Well-known line. What's the next line? A lot of people getting it. Crow Black, Robbie Love, Fenderman 73, Ron Shack, I'm anonymous. Close enough, Fenderman. All right. What comes after that? That's right. I'm anonymous. I'm going to be high, high, high as a kite by then. Okay. And Elton John, probably autobiographical on that one. Semi-autobiographical. All right. Even though Toppin wrote it, right? Okay. So, all right. So here we go. The screen door slams. Blank. What happens next? The screen door slams. What's the next line? And the band plays. Mary's Dress Waves. Crow Black. Getting it. Thunder Road. I'm anonymous. Close enough. It's lonely out in space. Oh, that's for the previous one. David Smith maybe has some lag there. Studio Deluxe. Mary's Dress Waves. All right. Good. All right. I have climbed the highest mountains. I have run through the fields. Blank. It's right. It's U2. Crow Black is close enough. It is U2. Only to be with you. That's right. Only to be with you is what it is. But close enough, Crow Black. You got it. Just to be with you is close enough. Only to be with you, Robbie Love, Fenderman 73. Probably my favorite U2 song, maybe One. I like One a lot as well. And I love Pride. Good song. Actually, I like a lot of U2 songs. Okay, here's a tough one. Sunday Bloody Sunday. Yeah, that's a good one. Nice guitar riff in that one. Same with Gloria is a nice guitar riff. Okay, let me get back. Got a baby's brain and an old man's heart. Took what? I've got a baby's brain and an old man's heart. Took blank. Before the Edge found Delay. I still think he was cool after he found Delay. It's pretty good stuff. But I hear you. Took 20 years, not quite. 18 years. 18 years to get this far. That's right. Took 18 years to get this far. Alice Cooper, 18. Right? That's right. Yeah, David Smith is still haven't found what I'm looking for. That was the previous one. I think you got lag on this. It's okay. It's cool. You're getting it. Yeah. All right. So here we go. I'm getting tired of waiting and fooling around. I'll find somebody who won't make blank. Yeah, Cloud. 18 and I like it. That's the previous one. All right. I'm getting tired of waiting, fooling around. I'll find somebody who won't make me blank. Fenderman gets it. Studio Deluxe gets it. Same band that did Soul Sacrifice. Feel like a clown. Frown. Okay, close. That won't make me feel like a clown. Santana, Evil Ways. That's right. You got to change them, baby, before I start loving you. All right, let's go. Just a small town girl, blank. The house is dark and my pots are cold. Yeah. Living in a lonely world. That's right. I got a baby. Wait, I'm getting, no, just a small town girl living in a lonely world. Right. All right. Okay. Let's go. She's got a smile, it seems to me, reminds me of childhood memories where everything was as fresh as blank. Let me try that again. She got a smile, it seems to me, reminds me of childhood memories where everything was as fresh as the blank. Crow Black gets it. I'm Anonymous gets it. Cloud gets it. The bright blue sky. With everything was as fresh as the bright blue sky. Right? Yeah. Sweet Child, Oh Mine. Guns N' Roses. Okay. Here we go. There must be some way out of here, said blank. There must be some way out of here, said blank. The Joker to the Thief. Landon Merritt. Hey, hi. How are you? Welcome. I'm Anonymous. Cloud Skyshook. Fenderman. Ron. All right, Fender. A lot of people getting this. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Last two. She was seaside sitting, just a smoking and a drinking on ringside. Blank. What's the next line? She was seaside sitting, just a smoking and a drinking on ringside. Blank. What is the next line? I'm Anonymous gets it. Studio Deluxe gets it. On top of the world. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Van Halen. Van Halen 7 Fenderman. And Gib. Hey, Gib, how are you? On top of the world. Oh, yeah. Something about my toes in the sand. Can't remember it exactly. Anyway, okay. Van Halen, Beautiful Girls. Okay, last one, and then we will call it a quiz. This one, hopefully, it won't get the video shut down. On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair, warm smell of blank. I want to see how you spell this, mostly. Ooh, Geert gets it right, the spelling. Crow Black. Ron. Oh, you missed the spelling. Yeah, it's okay. It's cool. Warm smell of Kalitas rising up from the air, or through the air. Rising up through the air, I think. Yeah, rising up through the air. All right, a lot of people getting that one. Garrett, Crow Black, Ron, Max, I'm Anonymous, Fenderman 73, Studio Deluxe, David Smith, Crow Black. All right. So hope you enjoyed the quiz today. Yeah, I think I'm Anonymous was on fire today. I think he wins the quiz. Now, we're not doing the I will guarantee to do your thing anymore. I'm too far behind to do that. But if you have a suggestion, please make it I'm Anonymous. And you can make it in the comment to this video or a different video sometime. But yeah, it's fun. These are fun. I think the fill in the blanks are fun. So, yeah, so, you know, we covered a lot of stuff today. We covered some chord changes and things to think about chords. Like I said, I have a lesson coming up on thinking more about chord changes and what to play out. Hey, I actually have a book that I'm putting together. It's probably going to be out in the next 1,000 years. But it kind of traces sort of the different ways of approaching different things, not just soloing, but simplifying songs, and so that you can play a little bit more easily without having brain clutter from this or that or the other, and a lot of stuff. So we got to give TBA huge thanks for this quiz today. It was a good one, really good one, and yeah. So I only added a few of them in there. Those were mostly his questions that were in there. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, gang. I will see you on Thursday. Yeah, I think most of you have noticed I'm putting out a Thursday video. I didn't do it this Thursday because it was July 4th here. I did it on Friday. But I try and put it out Thursday, and then maybe another one on Saturday, and then a Sunday one. All right. We'll see you. We'll see you on down the road. Want to say bye to everybody. See you, Fenderman 73. We missed GMAC today. He wasn't here. Robbie Love, David Smith, I'm Anonymous, Crow Black, TBA, Gib Hopkins, Garrett, it's good to see you. Ron Shack, Cloud Skychuck, great to have you on today. TBA, of course. Thank you so much for the quiz. Robbie Love, I didn't mention. A few other people, Max Josephson, Studio Deluxe, good to see you. A couple of other people who are on that I haven't seen before. And it's good to see you commenting as well. Let's see. Of course, Frank. Thanks to Frank. All right, everybody. I'm sorry if I apologize if I missed your name. We'll get you next time. All right. See ya on down the road. Have a great Sunday, everybody.